Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew E. Guy here. Welcome to another episode of the Allah Podcast. I'm listening, I'm ready. Today we're talking about the most important subject matter of 2023. The most important subject matter of 2023 that you need to be concerned about. Let's get to it.
It's the moment you've been waiting for. It's a conversation that must be had today and not tomorrow. Welcome to another episode of I'm Listening, I'm Ready with your host, Andrew E. Guy. Let's talk about it.
All right, so we're talking about this one most important thing that everyone needs to be tuned into for 2023. And so I know what you're asking me, Andrew, what are you talking about? Like, dude, like seriously, what is it that is so important that you're going to base the whole episode on this? As a matter of fact, correction, I'm not just going to base this one episode. It's not just it's a series that we're going to be talking about. And it's really trying to help people to get up from where they are, to do what they need to do so they can transform their life. If you're ready for this, man, let's talk about it. Let's jump right into it right now. So the big focus and beyond basically is going to be talking about this thing called DEI. Yes, everyone is talking about it right now, but it is going to be the main aspect of everything that we're going to be talking about and doing for 2023 and beyond. Why in the world is diversity, equity, and inclusion so important, right? I'm going to use that to help you to understand how diversity, equity, and inclusion is the key to help building resilient people, building resilient leaders for life. Now, what are you talking about, Andrew? Well, simply, the greatest component that you can get or you can have, anybody can have, it's really resiliency. That's really what it's about. And a lot of people, I know the church people or the religious people might contest me. And I would say that they will say, well, what about faith? I say, well, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about faith. Now, the Bible tells me that faith is the substance of things, hope for, and the evidence of things not yet seen. Okay, all right, let's go there then. How does resiliency more important than faith? Here's another scripture. You go look it up, find it in the Bible. You have a computer, you got a tablet. Just type in the scripture and it will tell you exactly where it is. The scripture said, faith without works is dead. That means if you're not working, your talk is going to fall to nothing. Another scripture says that you will reap if you faint not. All of these scriptures are really talking about resiliency. I remember there's a scripture where Jesus was talking to a disciple, and he said this. He said, happy are ye that you get to see these things, because your forefathers who lived for centuries was hoping that they would have gotten an opportunity to see these things, but you got a chance to see it. Now, Andrew, what are you talking about? I'm really talking about resiliency. Here is why. Because resiliency, a lot of people say it's about the power of bouncing back, but it's more than just that. It's an ability to look up when you're down so you can get up. And here's what's happening. Because so many people have made so many mistakes in their life, they think to themselves, man, I can't get up anymore. I can't stand up anymore. I can't live up anymore. I can't be determined anymore. I am beaten down. I got nothing left. Kind of like one of my favorite movie, Angels in the Outfield, with Danny Glover and Tony Danza. Tony Danza was the pitcher he said, I got nothing left. I got nothing left. And Danny Glover looked over at him and smiled and said, you got the Angels with you now. I want to say the same thing to you. I said resiliency is what we're missing. That's why there is so many issues on diversity. They're spending billions of dollars on diversity. But the thing is that the real issue is resiliency. People are not resilient enough to overcome the down times so they can sustain themselves to make it through the up times. They're not resilient enough to face it in the sowing season so it can make it and sustain themselves to get through the harvest. Many people are sowing. I get it. They are. But a lot of people are missing it. They never get a chance to make it to the season of harvest because you know what? They faint. Faint means to give up. Faint means to quit. Faint means to throw in the towel. That is what I'm talking about. And it's all over the scriptures. So I would really love to have a conversation with the religious people who are just looking at the word as just, oh, it's the word of God. Listen, it's not just the word of God. It's the word of life and the principles of living. I'm going to say that again. It's the word of life, because the word brings life to you, and the principle of living. Why is it the principle of living? Well, simple. Principle basically are guidelines that preserves your life. Here's what's happening. You can be alive, right? But not living. You can have life, but not be alive. But you know what? That is affected by your ability to live. Let me break it down. So life basically is just looking at the vital signs. Can a person breathe? Can a person feel? Does a person have 98.6 degree? Do they have the right temperature? Do they have the right blood pressure? Do they have all of these vital signs that dictates that that person have life in their body? Good. They got that. That's the basics. That is the basics. There is more. But here's what's happening. The living part of life is what validates your life, because you can be alive and you can be on life support, but you're not living. Living is the active part of this thing. Living is the active part of life. If you don't have the living, you will not feel like you're alive. You would simply be existing. Andrew, what are you talking about, bro? Let me break it down. Let me bring it back so you can understand what I'm talking about. We're saying people are talking about diversity and inclusion and equity, right? I want to let you understand this. Diversity is important. Diversity is key to building resiliency. So resiliency, as I piggyback to what I introduced earlier on, is not about bouncing back. It is about sustainability, your ability to withstand the test. People talk about bouncing back, but before I can bounce back, the tensor strength within the elastic band have to hold me in that position where I am before I can come back to the start, so I can do it all over again. Resiliency is really about your tensor strength that holds you in whatever position you're in at the time, so you can survive enough to make it through the next stage. Resiliency, it's like climbing the stairs. Resiliency is the steps that you take each rung of the ladder. For example, as you climb up to a different level, you have to survive that stage before you can make it to a new level. Perfect example, entry-level management or any entry-level position. You might get 96 days or 97 days as your probationary period based on whatever work or job you're doing. If you don't survive that 97 days or the probationary period, you don't get the advancement. You don't get the promotion. That's it. Can't withstand it. Cannot withstand the stress, the hardship, the demands that the role requires. You are not resilient enough. Resilient, the R-E on the zilliant simply means zilliant is come from the word, or you can even think of it like that, having a zeal or a fortitude to stand to the test of something. Re in front of a word means to redo. So I am standing here, but I'm not just standing here for today. The re in front of the word means I got to stand today. I may have to stand tomorrow. I may have to stand next week. I may have to stand next month. I may have to stand next year. I may have to stand for a couple years well before I can see the fruit of my labor. Case in point, when the farmer plants the seed goes into the ground. The seed has to die. The seed has to die, and this is what we call part of the germination part. The seed has got to die. When the seed die, then everything that's inside the seed that determines the fruit or the plant or the growth process is now released from its encapsulation. When it releases from its encapsulation, or I would say incubation, then it's now free to create roots that's going to hold the dream down. The dream, don't miss me now, stay with me on this. It's going to hold the dream of the tree. And the tree branches and the stems are going to hold the fruit on the tree until the harvester comes to get the fruit. Let me break that down so you can get this, because I want you to get this. 2023, I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. But I don't want you to miss 2020, 22, focusing on 2023. I want you to win where you are now, because a lot of people are putting off their now and daydreaming on the future. I'm just giving you a glimpse of what's about to happen for 2023, but you have to live it now so you can reap the fruit then. You have to plant the seeds now so you can have a harvest then. If you're not doing the now, forget about the then. Period. If you're not doing now, don't worry about the then. The then is the after. If you're not planting the seeds, you will not see the tree. And if the tree is not cultivated, you will not see the fruit. Is that clear? So let's put it all together. Makes sense. When you think of resiliency, remember, it is not about just bouncing back. It's about tensor strength, the ability to sustain yourself under whatever condition you're in. If you're a leader, if you have managing teams, then guess what's going to happen? There's going to be stresses. There's going to be work-related stresses, whether they're psychological, whether they are physical, whether they are emotional, whether they are social, or even spiritual or financial. All of these add stress to you as the leader. If you don't have resiliency, you will not make it. If you don't make it, that means that you did not have the resiliency to sustain yourself through the period of testing that you are in. Think of life as every moment as a test. When you pass your test, you move to the next level. That's what life and living is about. Resiliency tells you that you have to have the right inoculation of your thinking so that therefore you can sustain or survive that period in your life, so therefore you can make it to the next level. This level may be the lesson. The next level is going to be the promotion, but you cannot get promotion unless you survive the lesson. How many people have been, let's say, promoted to a position or got a new title? But man, when the stresses come, man, when that cortisol is released into your body, because cortisol is a stress hormone, you're not able to sustain it. You're not able to overcome. You're not able to bounce back. You're not able to be stretched. And so you don't make it. You snap underneath the pressure. So in the elastic band circumstance, the elastic band demonstration, the elastic band example does have something to do with resiliency, but it is not all. And so I wanted to stop by and just to give you some keys that you can take with you, to give you some inoculation of how you should be thinking for now, for 2023, so that you can be an overcomer. You don't want to be an undercover. Man, you've done that for too long. You got to rise above the situation that you're in. I'm going to give you a little bit more nugget right here. So when we talk about situation, I'm a wordsmith. I like to play on words because I think words makes the difference in everything that we do. What you say is not about what you say, man, it's how you say that thing. Because two people can say the same thing, but say it differently and get a different outcome and a different meaning behind it. So it's how. As a matter of fact, I wrote a book called Work Your Words, Finding Your Pathway to Personal Success. I want you to go out and get that book right now. I'm going to put the link in the description. I want you to get out there and get your copy of Work Your Words, Finding Your Pathway to Personal Success. This book will transform your living. I'm not talking about your life, because let me tell you something. Life is a gift. Life is already a gift. It's just like Christmas. Boom. The best part of this, though, is, are you opening your gift? Opening your gift is the living process, my brothers and my sisters. I'm getting too excited up in here. Many of you have a gift, but you haven't cracked open the gift. Living is your way of opening your gift. Have you opened your gift lately? Have you gone on? I'm not even talking about a Christmas tree. You are a tree of life planted by the rivers of water. So you don't even have to go underneath the fake Christmas tree. You have your own, you are a tree. And you're planted in the environment that you're in. You could be in a school as a principal. You can be a teacher. You can be a manager. You can be a leader of a team, a captain of a team. You can be anything, any area of leadership. You are that tree. Planted at that vocation, planted in that particular arena, planted in that space for that time. And your goal is to bear fruit. And the goal of your fruit is that they will last. What are your fruits? I know listen, I took a step to the right, so I got to break that down because I know somebody needs this. When we talk about bearing fruit that will last, okay, it's about resiliency again. Because if you don't last, you didn't make it because you didn't have the fortitude and the wherewithal to survive the stresses and the demand for what the position requires. Does that make sense? So when we talk about that your fruit will last, your fruit is what other people consume. Did you get that? Your fruit is what other people consume. Your skills are what bring about the taste in the fruit. Man, this is heavy. I know this is heavy. Let me break it down for you. So you have a seed. You plant yourself within a particular environment. The earth is the environment that you plant yourself in. It could be at work, it could be home as a parent, could be school as a teacher, could be a manager of a team, it could be a captain of a team. Doesn't matter. You are the seed and you're planted there. When you go through the stresses of whatever that environment is, then it's going to cause the skin that's on the seed to be decayed and broken down, because you're no longer thinking about the skin of yourself anymore. The skin deteriorates and releases everything that's inside of the seed that will germinate to create the tree. The tree is just sustainability that's going to keep you in that position because you're no longer a seed. Here's the problem. A lot of people been placed into a position or a circumstance or an area or a work environment, and they're still thinking that they are a seed. You're not a seed anymore, man. You don't remain a seed forever. Once you've been planted, you're no longer a seed after a certain time. You are broken down. You are now transformed or morphed into everything that's inside the seed. You have become. You need to write that down. You have become whatever was inside the seed. Now, the skills, the talent, the expertise, the aspirations, the motivation and inspiration is going to cause you to grow. When you grow, you become the tree. So the seed is now transplanted or transformed itself into a tree. A tree represents sustainability. Your character is the roots. The character is the roots that anchors you down into that position because you're now a tree that's planted where? By the rivers of water that bring forth fruit in its good season. Hold on for a minute. Let me break that down. You notice I didn't pick up a Bible anywhere. You notice I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm really trying to help you to get this thing because a lot of people think, you got to go in the church building just to get this information here. But let me tell you something. The creator who creates you doesn't live in a tomb. He doesn't live in a pyramid. He doesn't live in a church building behind bricks and blocks and cement. He is forever existing, forever and ever, from yesterday, today, and still going to be there tomorrow. That means if you're on the plane, you can still reach him. If you're in the subway, you can still reach him. If you're down in the fish belly, on the bottom of the sea in a submarine, hey, you can still reach him. And that's what I'm talking about right there. You can still reach him. So it's not about a religion. It has nothing to do with that. It's about your relationship and your interconnectedness with the one who created you. So let's go back now to we talking about the plant by the rivers of water. Here it is. You in totality are a seed. Then you get planted into an arena or an area, right? Based on your expertise, right? And so as you're planted in an area, the demands of that particular area and or job is going to cause you to release everything that's inside you as a seed. You're no longer yourself. You have become what that area of expertise requires. If you're a lawyer, you're going to be a lawyer. You get out of law school, you're going to go into the field, you're a lawyer. If you're a doctor, you're no longer a seed. You are a doctor. If you are any kind of speciality in the medical field, you become that. If you're an auto mechanic, then that's what you're going to become. You are a mechanic. You become that. So here is what you need to understand now. You are a seed, gets planted in a particular area. When you're planted, right, the demands of that area, I know I'm repeating it because I want you to get it. The demands of that area strip you. He stripped you of your coverage, of your protective coat. And now you're now able to grow because everything that's inside the seed has to become the tree. The tree is the sustaining power that allows over time for the nutrients to go up into the tree and then causes the fruit to become. Because it got to bloom first, the different stages to this resiliency stuff. Man, I want to talk to you about it. As a matter of fact, I am launching a new course. And when the time comes, I'm going to send you out the link. It is going to transform your living. I'm not talking about the life. It's going to transform your living because that's my focus nowadays, is to help you to win where you are by building resilient leaders for life. That's it, period. I'm not here to say, hey, let me help you make money. That's not my job. That's somebody else's job. And I'm not going to do their job. You're not going to see me release a course saying that, oh, well, let me teach you how to make $1 million. That's not my job. Because there are a lot of people out there who have millions of dollars and they're crumbling from the inside. They have millions on the outside. They have a great paint job, but they got no engine, no sustainability, no keeping power, no character. Did I say character? Let me talk about that. That's the next step in resiliency. Because when you're planting the seed into the area, then guess what? The tree grows. The tree grows, but the tree needs to be sustained. Your character, can I say that again? Your character are the roots that anchors you down into that spot. That when people try to bribe you, when people try to give you stuff, when people try to mess around, when people try to really tear you down or to give temptations to bring you down from where you are, I'm talking about presidents of countries fall because they didn't have staying power. Staying power is really character in motion. That's exactly what it is. Those are the roots that anchors you down into the ground. And when did these roots start to grow? The roots start to grow the moment you shed your quote and you're put into that environment. And then the trees start to germinate. When the seed germinates, boom, the first thing it does, it sends down that root. And then the cotyledon comes up. It's important that the root goes down first because it has to hold the dream of the tree in place. And so now when we have the tree in place, the tree grows and it gets bigger and then the trunk gets bigger. That means you are growing. In order for you to sustain yourself, you have to have the right anchors, the right people around you, the right mindset. All of these represents roots. And so the roots is what keep you locked in place so that you're not moved by the turning of the tide or the change of thinking or the fads of life. You're not easily shook. The concept we're talking about is that to help you to understand that you are a seed, you get thrown into an environment. When you get thrown into that environment, you must grow. If you don't grow, you're going to die. You didn't survive because you didn't have the resiliency to make it. You make it because you have the resiliency. You make it because you have the staying power. You make it because you have the wherewithal to withstand the wiles of the enemy. What are these wiles? The wiles are the temptation. The wiles are the people that tell you to do stuff that you're not supposed to do. The wiles are things that challenge your character. Can I say it again? The wiles are things that challenge your character. And if your character doesn't get challenged, it will not get stronger. It will not get defined where you know thyself. Remember, Shakespeare said that, know thyself. And when you know yourself, you know exactly what not to do. So let's finish up the big picture. Let's break it down. We say you're a seed, you're thrown in this environment, but you have to grow. You're going to grow out, you're going to grow within, and you're going to grow up. You know, there's a lot of people that are growing up, but they're not growing inside. A lot of people are growing on the outside. They got a nice tire around their waist, but they're not growing on the inside. You can't just grow on the inside and not grow up or out. You got to grow up, you got to grow out, you got to grow in. The inside is your mindset. The outside is up, going up. Those are your dreams, skills, goals that you want to accomplish. And then the out is when you leverage what you learn and take action on that. That's when you increase your circle of influence. That's what we're talking about. So in order for you to do all that, you need to be resilient. The tree is the reflection of your sustainability and the roots and the ability to hold you in place. Case in point, in Florida, when the storm come about, you see trees are dancing. Trees are dancing. They're not really dancing. They're dancing in fear because they don't know if the wind is going to be strong enough to rip them out of the ground. If that tree gets ripped out of the ground, it's just like a manager, an entry-level manager that was put in place and he didn't have the resiliency to stay there. They get ripped out of the ground and they don't know what happened. They weren't prepared, don't have the resiliency. The number one thing that you will need for 2023 is resiliency. The number one thing, it is staying power. It's going to help you to not just get to the next level, but to sustain. It's sustainability that is the key to longevity. And that's what you need to understand. Yes, you can make $1 million, but $1 million can be lost like this. No staying power, no thinking power to sustain what they have already gained. So the seed, you see, I keep repeating it so you can get it. You are a seed with gifts, skills, aspirations, everything, motivation, inspiration. You got all of that in you. You get thrown into an environment, could be leadership, whatever it is. The environment is where you're going to be planted. When you plant it, based on the challenges that you undergo or sustain or withstand or survive, they strip you of your coat, of the outside skin of the seed. And then your inside stuff gets released. The releasing part caused you to grow up into a codling and then send down a root because you need the root to sustain you, to keep you in place. And then the trunk of the tree goes up because you got to go up and you got to grow out. You go out, this is your influence. You go up, that's you attaining the goals and the dreams that you're going higher to another rung. That's what that means. So here's what's happening. When you, the tree that is planted by the rivers, I'm going to explain that right now. The rivers are the changing in times. I did not say sitting water because sitting water basically gets stagnated over time. But the river is always fresh because it's always running. It never stays still. I'm talking about the moving water. So you're planted by the rivers. I'm saying rivers because people are going to come in your life and they're going to go out of your life and they're going to come in from this angle. They're going to come from this side, that side. They're going to come from this. Living is about movement. My background in kinesiology will tell you it's about movement. We are the movement specialists. Muscles are moving within your hand to move the bones, but your thinking determines your movement. So when we talk about planted by the rivers of waters, you're going to be planted in an area. It could be fast-paced area where you're working at a fast food joint. You could be working in an industry that requires critical thinking, speed thinking. You got to be able to build people up, motivate people, encourage people so they can be sustained. That is your ability to withstand and to grow the trunk of your tree. The trunk of your tree represents influence in your area of expertise. So I'm going to ask you, what's your influence? Do you have influence? If you don't have influence, you got nothing, because your tree is not growing wide enough so it can suck up more sap. You suck up more sap or nutrients from the ground, and guess what's going to happen? It's going to create turgor pressure inside of the tree, so that when the pressure comes from the blowing wind, it's going to cause you to stay put. And you're not going to be easily shook or shaken by every storm that passes you. You are stable, and that's what resiliency is about. It's about helping you to understand it's about stability. Do you have the keeping power? If you don't have it, it's a reflection of your lack of resiliency. And that's what I want you to get from this whole kaboom of everything that I'm addressing you, to help you to understand you are a seed, gets planted in an environment. Once you plant it, you gotta grow. You grow up with that little codling that becomes a little tree, and then you have those roots go down to anchor you and the vision. Now let me talk to you about the vision. The vision basically are the fruit. That's what it is. People are moved by your visions. That's what moved people. So if you're planted by the rivers of water, which I explained earlier on, the rivers are moving people, changing times, changing ideas, challenges. These are the things that are happening around you, changing economy, rise and fall of inflation. These are the changing, these are the rivers of waters, right? But here's the next part. You have to bear fruit. The bearing of the fruit is your visions that you come up with that's going to cause people to eat. People don't eat the trees. They don't eat the bark of the trees. When they visit the tree, they are looking for fruit. Your ideas, your visions are the fruit that cause people to live, because that's the purpose of the tree. I'm going to give you an example. There was a story in the Bible where Jesus was walking, because you know that's what Jesus does. He just walked. He didn't have a limousine, didn't have a private jet. He didn't have a Lear jet. He had none of that. He had two things. He had Lexuses, two Lexuses. So Jesus had a car before Lexus came about. He was driving his two Lexuses, and he walked everywhere. So hint, hint to all our preacher friends, you need to get in shape. You need to hit the gym, get in shape, and so you can get up there and deliver the word. Don't tell me that you're delivering the word and you're afraid to walk. Jesus walked everywhere, man. Everywhere. He was a fit dude. Don't get it twisted. He was a fit dude. But let me get back to my story. I just wanted to throw that out there. Here's what I'm trying to get you to understand. So as he walked through wherever he was, he got to meet different people coming from here, coming from there, coming from wherever. All of these, we said, are the rivers of water. Your fruit is your vision that sustains people. Here is why. He said, without a vision, the people perish. Vision keep people alive. Your vision is your fruit. It's the ideas. So if you're not coming up with new ideas, if you're not brainstorming, if you don't have vision that you share with the world, guess what's going to happen? They are going to throw off restraints and they're going to perish. So you are a seed, I'll say it again, you are a seed that is planted by the rivers, which is the changing times, of waters, which is always moving. Time is always moving, never stand still. The day when time stands still is when you're dead. And here's the crazy part, it's still moving for the people who are alive. So here's the deal, you're a seed planted by the rivers, moving water, changing time, changing season, right? And it brings forth fruit in his due season. There's a season when you're supposed to be producing, man. And if you're not producing, you're taking up earth space. And here's what I wanted to connect this to. You remember when Jesus was walking? Because I told you he was walking, because that's what he does. And then he came to the fig tree. The fig tree was planted, and the fig tree has roots that kept it in the ground. And the purpose of the root is for the roots to bring in nutrients to the tree so that it can grow. Now, before I touch on that, let me break this down a little bit now. The reason why you have roots is not just to anchor you down into the ground. The purpose for the roots is to create channels for you to grow, for you to receive sustenance, for you to receive nutrient. What am I trying to get you to understand? That while you grow up and you grow out, you need to be learning. You need to be extrapolating information like what I'm giving you right now, so you can get learning and teaching from other places so you can grow. The roots are the pathway that brings in the nutrients to you. Man, I know this is good stuff. When we launch our course, I'm telling you right now, it is not going to be like everybody else's courses. Click here, click there. It's going to be stuff to inoculate you, to help you to win where you are so you can live and be the resilient leader for life. So now, we have already talked about the roots and the purpose of the roots. So let me tell you what happened when Jesus came up and saw the fig tree. You know what he did? He expected to see something on there for him to consume. There was nothing on it. You know what he did? Boom, curse the tree. You're taking up space in the ground. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Get out of here. What am I trying to get you to see? You got to bear fruit. You got to bear fruit in your season, man and woman and child. You got to bear fruit. When you bear fruit, you sustain other lives. You sustain lives, because living is your process that validates the life that you've gotten. But sustainability is a result of your character, and your character is based on your resiliency to stay put and to be unmovable and to be unshakable wherever you are planted. And here's the last part. I told you before, people don't want to eat the bark of the tree. They're there for what? They're there for what? That's right. I'm listening. I'm ready. That's what I'm talking about. You got to listen and you got to be ready to take action. People are not there to eat the bark off the tree. Again, who is the bark? I'm going to switch. I'm going to give you a lot of metaphor. I want you to be thinking. You become the tree. People don't want to eat you. People are not interested in you. They're only interested in what's between your ears. You see this little piece of real estate between your ears, the brain? That's what they're interested in. What is between your ears? That's the only thing that attracts people to you. They don't care. At the end of the day, don't get it twisted. People get hung up on the color, the paint job on my automobile, but they're missing the engine. Nobody at the end of the day cares about the paint job, the color of your skin. They care about, what can you do for me? How can you transform my life? What can you sow into my life to help me to start transforming my thinking so I can become as I think? Because the book says, by James Allen, as a man thinketh, so you become. I'm telling you that right now. So people are looking for people like me and you who can help them to change and win where they are. They don't want to wait till next week. They want to win now. That's what people are looking for. You know, when you can change somebody's life, all of a sudden your skin color don't matter anymore. It's not about the outside. It's what's inside that counts. We get it wrong. Social media tells you, hey man, it's what you look like that matters. Hey man, hey girl, you got to be a stick to get a modeling job. Who say so? There are a lot of kids out there stressing themselves because they want to be anorexic to fit into a mold. Let me tell you something. You don't have to fit in anywhere, but you can be everywhere. Your presence can be everywhere. So when Jesus stepped up and he cursed that tree, is because it didn't have life-sustaining nutrients on the tree. Your goal in life, be a seed. You're planted in an environment, whether you're a leader, whatever you are, wherever environment, you are a seed. You must be transformed by the renewing of your mind when you get into that area or individual place or that management position, or when you're given that title. You're thrown in there. You're the seed. You have to transform yourself from a seed to a tree. The tree may be what you look like. It doesn't matter what bark color you got. Can you produce a result that sustain other people? When Jesus cursed the tree because guess what, man? Listen, he didn't have what I needed. I was hungry. I came to the tree. I was expecting fruit to be on the tree. There was nothing there. And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. People come to you because they have expectation. They have expectation that you're going to be able to help them. And you know what's going to happen? They might end up cursing you because you're not able to help them, because they expect you to help them. They expect you to have fruit that will what? Last. Your fruit shouldn't be a fly by night. Shouldn't be here today and gone tomorrow. Your fruit should keep you. Your fruit should sustain other people. It's food for their soul. So again, you're a seed, you get planted, you become a tree. The tree is the representation of the fruit that will come about as a result of what was stored in you, the seed that gets broken down because of the stresses and the demand that was placed on you, and then you become the tree. You cannot remain a seed forever. If you remain a seed forever, you're going to die. And here's the bad part about that. You are going to take everything that's inside the seed that was encapsulated in the seed, and it's going to become nothing. Nothing. You become a tree. I want to encourage you. Become a tree. Become a tree, man. Become a tree woman. Become a tree, young child. Become a tree, young boy and girl. Become a tree. Because the tree is the next step to help you to bloom. And then when you bloom, then you can produce a fruit. When you produce a fruit, people will consume your fruit. It's the consummation of the fruit that people eat from your tree that sustains them and keep you in demand and keep you in demand. That's exactly right. You're not in demand because you're not bearing any fruit. That's going to cause people to be sustained. Man, I know I got something from this. I hope you did. If you're tuning in for the first time, I need you to hit the like button, smash, whatever you got to smash. But make sure you subscribe so you can get updates about when I put out new stuff. Stuff like this. I'm not talking about no showy television kind of stuff. I'm talking about talking to you in your face, giving you the stuff that matters most to help you to win where you are so you can become a resilient leader in your area of expertise. And that's what it's about. Everything in life can be boiled down to one thing: resiliency. Resiliency is not about bouncing back. It's about sustaining power. Can you hold on to what you've been given? Can you sustain long enough to get to the end? There are a lot of people that start off on the 100-meter dash. Only a few people make it down to the end in the shortest time. So I want to encourage you. You are a seed. And when you're placed into the earth, which is the environment in your area of expertise, you're expected to grow up. You're expected to grow out. That means that's your influence, increase your base, and you are expected to bloom. And let me talk about bloom for a minute. You see, bloom basically is motivation to those who see you. Bloom is an encouragement for those who see you. Because then there is an expectation that means if I see blossoms on your tree, that means the fruit is on the way. That makes sense? When people see blossom on your tree, they instantaneously believe and they're convinced, they are inspired that, man, the fruit is coming any minute now. Are you encouraging people? Are you blooming where you're planted? You know, if you're transplanted before the time, you know that you have to wait another couple of seasons before the roots will take hold of the soil, and then you germinate, and then you produce those blossoms to encourage people. Say, hey, watch out, fruit's coming. So what does a blossom on a fruit tree means? It means watch out, I got something coming. Watch out, there's fruit in store. That's what that means. When people see the blossom is another way for saying, hey, let your light shine. When people see your light, they'll be like, whoa, there is power up in here. Because if there's power, it's got to give off some electricity to create light. Right? Right. So I'm excited. I'm pumped. I listen, I'm already thinking about 2023, but I am existing in 2022 because I got to finish the race. I will never get to 2023 until I finish 2022. Be encouraged. Be the seed that gets planted in your area of expertise by the rivers of changing times, which is the rivers of water, changing time, changing season, changing economy. All of that is the river. But you still got to be planted by the river. You got to remain standing. And then you bear fruit. But before you bear fruit, you got to blossom. Your blossom is an encouragement to those watching you, the tree, as they pass by, so they can know and expect that there's fruit coming. But here's the crazy part. When the fruit comes on the tree, you got to become the strength of the stem that holds the fruit on the tree. Even though the wind come and blow the tree back and forth and swing it, you better hang on to them fruit, because you got to take those fruit from the germination process all the way until they're ripe. And then when it's ripe, ready for the harvest, you let them go. And then when they taste of the fruit, they'll be like, man, this is the good tree. This is the good tree. And what does all of this mean? And when people taste your fruit, when you let your light so shine in the world, right? When you bear good fruit so that they will last, then people is going to want to pick your fruit, take the seed, replicate it, and then plant it again so they can get more harvest of the same fruit that they got from your tree. That's what he's talking about, so it will last. Plant fruit that will last. That means whatever you're doing, make sure it's something that you want to do, driven to do, and are led to do, so that you're not going to be a fly by night, here today, gone tomorrow. You keep doing it until you produce the fruit that nourishes the soul of those who consume it. That's what life is all about. Produce fruit that will last and stand the test of time. But the only way to do that is through resiliency. And the only way to be resilient is to be diverse enough so that all of these things are working together for your good. I'm going to wrap up with this last part about diversity and inclusion so you can make sense of this all. So how does this make sense, Andrew? Very simple. We're diverse. There are a whole bunch of different things that are diverse about us that makes us a uniquely, wonderfully created human being, a wonderfully created specimen. And when I think about diversity, I think in as all things working together for our good. I'm thinking many pieces coming together to strengthen that one thing. There are many roots in the trees, different size of roots. That's the diversity that holds you, the tree, up. And if you want to go metaphorically with me, let's go there. The tree can represent a company. A company is held up by the diversity and the different kinds of people and skill sets that are within that workplace. The more diverse, the more skilled, the more universal, the more we have of different people coming together to contribute, stronger that company is, the longer it will last. And that's diversity inside a company. Let's go a little deeper. If you only have one kind of seed at the table, then guess what? You will only produce one kind of fruit that will feed only one kind of people, and your company will not last. Different fruit produce and provide different nutrients. So if you have one that produces or provide potassium, great for the brain, great for the potassium pump. If you got one that provide ascorbic acid, as what's called, or also known as vitamin C, then great, it's good. It helps to boost the immune system. But if you don't have diversity within your company, then you could be iron deficiency. You could be deprived of one kind of vitamin in your body, and that's gonna impact your health. So the health of a company from a nutrition standpoint, I'm not a nutritionist, But the health of your company is determined by the type of nutrients that you take in. The nutrients represents the people that are in your company. Different nutrients serve different purposes. Different people bring different strengths, and the different strengths bring together to hold and sustain the company. Just like the roots of a tree. Different tree trunks need different types of tree roots. And so I'll ask you, what are your roots made of? And the type and the size and the length of your roots will determine the type of tree that is held up. Because the storms are going to come, baby. You better make sure you have some good roots to hold you up in this movement and changing time. My name is Andrew E. Guy. If you would like me to come out and speak to your company, please reach out to me at andrewguyspeaks.com. If you'd like me to come and give a talk on diversity and inclusion and how the two comes together to make resilient people and resilient leaders for life, look me up at andrewguyspeaks.com. You will see my topics and all the things that I talk about, but the most important thing that I talk about is helping you to win where you are. Win where you are by building resilient leaders for life. I don't care if you're a parent, you're a leader. If you're responsible for somebody else, you're a leader. I don't care if you're a captain and you're on your fire department team or on your police team. It doesn't matter. You're a leader. You're responsible for somebody. You need to be resilient. And this is why resiliency is going to be the new conversation for 2023 starting now. If you didn't realize why resiliency is most important, I'm telling you right now, I'm here to let you know resiliency is here to say it is the new vitamin R that you need to take every single day. Every day. Talk resiliency, and that's what I'm about, helping you to win, because you can't win if you're not resilient enough. My name is Andrew E. Guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Allah Podcast. Guess what it is? Resiliency. That's what we're talking about. It's the Allah Podcast. I'm listening. I'm ready. It's a podcast that's dedicated for people on the go. Whether you're traveling by land, air, or sea, reach out to me. And if you want to be a guest on the show, let me know. Reach out at allahpodcast.com and click on how to become a guest. And then come on, let's chop it up and talk about how we can transform the world for people that are on the go. Until next time, remember, I'm putting the links inside the description down here for the books that you need to get. Work Your Words, the books that you need to get. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, and definitely want you to get some spiritual wherewithal about yourself so you can understand it's not about being churchy. It's not about going to a building. It's having that relationship with your creator anywhere you are, where you live, work, and play, or whether you travel by land, air, or sea, he can still reach you. You can still tap in just like a Wi-Fi signal. If you got Wi-Fi signal, you can connect with your creator anytime, not just in a building. Again, this is your boy, Andrew E. Guy, and I'm saying take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. And be on the lookout for an upcoming course on resiliency and DEI in the place where I live, work, and play. Until then, take care. Subscribe, hit the button, get tuned in, tell a friend. I'll see you next time. Peace. This is Andrew E. Guy. Have yourself a fantastic day, a fantastic week, a fantastic months, and a fantastic year. Until then, take care. Peace.
Until next time, keep listening, live ready, talk soon.